Okay, so let's go ahead and start session 3 of building a listing-based business. What I want to start with is something that my coach taught me really, really early on, and this was Mike Ferry. If it wasn't Mike Ferry, it was my coach that was working with Mike Ferry at the time, Tony DeCello. He talked to me about having a ritual. Now you got to remember, there's been many months, just as me as an individual agent, where I will take 30 listings in a month. That wasn't like out of the ordinary, for me. 20 would be like anything less than 20 would be a complete failure, based on, the trajectory that I was on, the business that I was building, and the momentum that I had. But there was some key things that actually allowed me or put me in position to do that type of business. Okay. And the first thing that comes to my mind that I had to mention today, it's the morning ritual. Okay. So the morning ritual, and I want to first break down the term ritual. I won't give you an official Webster's dictionary meaning of ritual, but I'll just share with you what it means to me. I imagine, and I've said this before, I just imagine watching TV, maybe National Geographic, and maybe I'm watching a show, about this tribe in Africa, and the show's educating me on, how they live and things like that. If you've ever watched a show like that, or if you've ever watched multiple shows like that, you'll see one theme in those shows and in the stories. And the theme is rituals. The theme is ritual. And meaning like every Saturday at 1 p.m., the entire tribe will walk, say 2 miles to this one particular area, and maybe they'll eat together, maybe they'll pray together, maybe they'll dance together. Who knows what they'll do? Maybe a lot of times it revolves around some sort of spiritual, event. But one thing that we know is like they don't miss it. It's like forbidden to miss it. Like there's no flexibility. Like a ritual in their world is something that is a must. They must go to this at 1 o'clock. The whole town, the whole tribe sets up their environment to support that ritual. And everyone, without complaining, without thinking, I'm sure some people probably like, gosh, I don't want to do this today. But without even thinking, they just go into the motions, and they start walking down that trail, and they head to where they need to go, and they spend a certain amount of time there, and then they head back. And it happens every single week, or in some cases, it happens every single day with these tribes. In other words, they have mastered the ritual. They have completely and utterly committed that this is what we have to do. This is our life. Therefore, we do it. It's interesting. Now, here's the key. Most of us would look at that and say, I don't really have a ritual. Well, I would argue, no, you have a ritual. It's just not as intentional as the ritual I just described. Meaning like too many people have a ritual. Everybody has a ritual. Some people's rituals are really kind of like bad habits. Like this would be a ritual. On Mondays, I show up at 8. On Tuesday, I show up at 10. On Wednesday, I show up at 7:30 for 10 minutes. And Thursday, I show up at 3. And Friday, depends on, the weather. I might show up, anywhere from 10 to 11. And sometimes I work for 2 hours. Sometimes I work for 5 hours. That's a ritual. Like it's inconsistent, but it's like when you look at week after week after week, you'll see agents are really consistent at being inconsistent. And it actually is tough to go from being inconsistent to consistent. It feels like it's restricting us. It feels like, somebody's like making us do something. It feels like, wow, I've lost my freedom. No, You lost your freedom by being inconsistent, because inconsistent in one's activities leads to inconsistency in one's financials, which leads to the lack of freedom, the lack of predictability. See, when your financials are not predictable, when it's not duplicatable, where you can't say that every single month I make $30,000 in net profit every single month. Like one time it's 5,000 or 2,000 or 7,000 or 10,000 or 15,000, and then it's back to zero. That inconsistency in one's financial is where we lose our freedom, because we don't have the freedom, the feeling of freedom to be able to make commitments like buying pieces of property, like paying extra down on our mortgage every month. We don't know that we're going to have extra money in 2 months from now, so let's not go ahead and start investing that money now, or putting our child here, or all these decisions that we would like to make. If we had more financial freedom, we could make these decisions, but we don't make those decisions. And we don't make those decisions because of a lack of money. We make those decisions because of a lack of consistency. See, whether your ritual is consistent or whether it's inconsistent, it's still a ritual. Now, we don't use the term ritual as much as they do in other countries. We use the term habits. So ritual and habit is fairly the same thing in the context of building a listing-based business. You have got to have a ritual. You've got to have a habit of showing up every day and working hard to find somebody new you can talk to about listing their property. So I'll kind of go through, a ritual, and I'll share with you my ritual, for many, many years. And it's still basically my ritual today, with the exception of some of the activities that I do between 8 and 11 are different. But, it's not uncommon, and it's actually, I consistently get up or wake up at 4:30 a.m. That's just very consistent. I'm consistently in the gym at 5 a.m. Now, why? Because I got certain things that I want to do. And with everything that I want to do for myself, a lot of times comes at some sort of sacrifice to somebody else. So if I was going to wake up at 6:30, get to the gym at 7, my kids leave for school at 7:30, I would actually miss seeing my kids as they went to school. So I designed my ritual where I would get up before they get up, I would go work out, and then I would get home by 6:15, spend a little bit of time with them, see them off to school. So I didn't let I've got to get the kids ready for school. I didn't let any of that influence whether or not I got the things done that needed to get done. Now, it comes at a cost. I have to get up a little bit earlier. Now, for some of you that's up at 11 o'clock at night, that's not me. Yes, I am probably in bed by 8:30. I will most likely be in bed by 8:30. If I'm not in bed by 8:30 tonight, or at least 9, I'm like concerned. I'm like, dang it, I got to get to bed. Let's go. I got to get to bed. That's my routine. That's more of my ritual. The point here, though, with that part of the ritual is I'm generating some energy. So when I come in to the office, I'm alive. I'm fired up. I'm full of energy. My mind is already, I've got that blood flowing. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take on the day. That's a ritual. Happens all the time. Then, of course, I get to the office by 8 o'clock. And at 8 o'clock, I am standing in my prospecting station. This morning at 8 o'clock, I was standing in my prospecting station. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, I'll be standing in my prospecting station. And then Wednesday, I will be doing the same thing. I will do every day that I'm working in my office in Myrtle Beach, I will be standing at my prospecting station at 8 o'clock, ready to go, full of energy. That's a ritual. Standing up, ready to go, full of energy. And then I'll start making my calls. Now, who I'm calling today could be different than who you might be calling today. But the key is the ritual's the same thing. I got up early. I went and generated some energy through working out. I got to the office at 8 o'clock. And then 11 o'clock, I stopped. Why do you think? I mean, when Gary and I and Mike were talking about, hey, when's the huddle and when's this, when's that? It's not a fluke, by the way, that this call is starting at 11 o'clock. The reason why this starts at 11 o'clock is because it would be breaking my ritual if it started any earlier. And I want to minimize the amount of times, the amount of days that I'm actually away from my stand-up prospecting station from 8 to 11. I've got to minimize that. So I strategically put this at 11, so I go from upstairs to downstairs and then hit the recorder and we start talking. That's a ritual. Now, there's a difference in a ritual and a schedule. The schedule is all the things that you do outside of the ritual. The ritual is your time. It's all the things that you do for yourself to build your business. The schedule are all the things that you do for other people and other things that you do to support your business, not build your business. See, I divide my schedule and my ritual. Ritual builds my business. Schedule supports my business. Important distinction. You got to understand, if you want a more predictable, duplicatable, dependable flow of income, you have to have a more duplicatable, predictable, and dependable flow of lead generation activities. If you don't put yourself in your schedule, you'll never get it done. See, my day really doesn't start mentally for the customers, the consumers out there, until 11. My first appointment every day is with myself. If I don't put myself in my schedule, and if I don't make sure that I'm the one responsible for building my business, nobody else will be. Most people that'll be listening to this video, and you all, most of you don't have, this is just most agents in general, don't have a steady flow of consistent income. And we're all in the real estate business looking for how we can improve that. It's so basic. Steady flow of consistent income comes from a steady flow of consistent activity. If you're inconsistent at your activities, you'll have inconsistency in income. That's it, period. If McDonald's opens up at 5 in the morning on Monday, if they advertise, I'm open, but 5 a.m. they open on Monday, and 7 a.m. they actually open on Tuesday, and 4:30 they open on Wednesday, and 6:30 on Thursday, and something different on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, at some point, they would lose their business. They know when to be open. They know when to start making those biscuits. They know when people are going to start coming through the drive-through for breakfast. They know all that stuff, and they make sure that they never miss having the doors open at the optimal times. But we are no different than that, with the exception of they're more consistent. But they're a business and we're a business. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you stop doing what every agent's doing between 8 and 11. I know what's going on with agents between 8 and 11. It's like you make one prospecting call, and then all of a sudden you get this text from somebody that says, hey, is that property still available? And you actually, biggest problem, you actually saw the text. Put the phone away. If you have kids and you have kids that have homework, have you like seen over the last couple of years, like how inefficient, how long it takes them to get their homework done? Because they're actually going from like reading something and then looking at a video, reading something and then looking at something funny, and then reading something and then texting in their group chat amongst their other friends. At my house, it's homework time, all phones, boom, goes into a basket. That's it, period. I'm tired of all the drama. I'm tired of the homework taking 8 hours. I'm tired of all the arguments with the, with mom, who manages this part of our family. I'm tired of all the arguments between the mom and the son about get it done, put your phone down. I cured that problem. How about take the phone away so there is no phone to put down during homework time? It's not punishment. It's actually helping him, because instead of it taking 5 hours, now it takes 2 hours to do the homework. And at one point we were being fooled as parents, thinking, wow, these schools are giving so much homework. No, there's nothing more that's being given to the children right now in the era of homework. It's just that the effective and the efficiency and the effectiveness of the children doing their homework has decreased, which makes it feel like there's more homework. That sounds like real estate agents and prospecting. Gosh, it's just, I don't seem to get many people on the phone, because in between you trying to get people on the phone, you're distracted. You're actually thinking about this appointment that you have at 2 o'clock. You're thinking about this postcard that you're trying to design. You're thinking about the picture on your business card. We're thinking about needing to call somebody. We're thinking about checking the text, the home inspection that's going wrong, the termite report that came back bad. We're like all of that. What we're doing is we're commingling our time. Commingle, multitask, do that after 11. You want to build a listing-based business, you got to have a ritual where you show up and you do nothing but that one activity that's necessary to build your business. The second thing I want to talk about today beyond ritual is you got to understand the listing game is a contact sport. That's all it is. I have you all muted, so I know that you won't answer to me, or I won't hear your answer, but I know what your answer will be. If you talk to nobody, how many listings are you going to get from those people? Nobody. None. I mean, zero. If you talk to 0 people, how many listings will you take out of those 0 people? 0. So the rest of the conversation about, I don't like it's a numbers game. If you talk to none, you get none. So if you talk to some, you'll get some. So this is where the agents get a little twisted. They don't want it to be a numbers game. They don't like that conversation for whatever reason. They almost don't believe it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. I just proved if you talk to 0, you get 0. Those are 2 numbers. So with every one number, there's a corresponding another number. If you talk to, for me, my goal was to set 2 appointments today, listing appointments. So I talked to 2 people, set 2 appointments. It's a numbers game. If I would have talked to 0, I would have got 0. See, it's a numbers game. So if it's a numbers game, then when in your schedule are you playing the game? The ritual, 8 to 11. But Greg, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Listen, I'll be as nice as I can. No, you don't. I've done hundreds and hundreds of deals where I prospected every day from 8 to 11. I've worked 4.5 days a week, and I did not work nights, and I did not work weekends. Hundreds of deals annually as just a producer. The challenge with me is I don't accept, what does this say? You can't deposit excuses. The challenge with me is you can't give me those types of excuses. because I've got what we call street credibility. I've walked the walk, and I'm talking from experience. So all the excuses that people have for why they can't do something don't work for me, but they really work well with a lot of coaches that never really walked the walk, that never really did it. The ones that are reading from the books or studying a different coach and trying to give it back to you. Well, they can sometimes, get a little twisted. You can kind of corner them with a few excuses, but with me, you can't. That's why I'm so aggressive and confrontational about these subjects, is because I know by doing, not know by reading. It's a contact sport. When do you have it in your schedule to play the game? 8 to 11 is what I would say you need to do. Now, I understand you're going to say, agents are going to say, oh, no one really answers the phone between 8 and 11. BS. It's just that you're not making enough dials because you're distracted by all the other things. Like if you were to dial from your headset and put your cell phone in a different room and turn your email off, you'd be amazed at how many people you would talk to during the day, during that period of time. It will change as soon as you remove the distractions. People say, yeah, but no one ever wants to do anything. That depends on who you're calling. Every expired wants to sell. Every for sale by owner wants to sell. There are so many people that we can be calling on a daily basis that we know want to do something. When we say, well, no one's really actually wanting to do anything, that's cold calling. Cold calling is not about building today business. Cold calling around just solds is about building your future. About building your future. When we talk about Abe Safa, Abe, I can't remember, I think he said he made 12,000 contacts that first year. But, if Abe never makes another contact, I can assure you he will get 20, 30, 40 come list me calls because of all the people that through the first 3 years of his business that he put into his database. Now it's just coming in to him. Now, the good thing about Abe, he's still making outbound calls, still building his database even bigger. And while he's actually getting all this business from his calls, he's also getting an extra 30 to 40 deals, just come list me deals. Most people don't do as much business as Abe does. I mean, Abe gets more business from people calling him from past cold calls, past prospecting calls, than most people do all year. See, he built a listing-based business. He has a ritual, and he understands it's a contact sport, so he makes sure that he plays the game every day. And if I'm going to play a sport and I'm going to play a game, I'm going to play it the best that I can. I'm not going to go up to bat and don't know how to swing. No, I would have practiced my scripts. I don't go up to bat and not know what type of pitches the pitcher is going to throw. I'm going to study the pitcher. I'm going to know how to swing it. I'm going to study the habits of the pitcher. So when he throws that certain pitch, I'm going to be ready for it. And I'm going to repeat that process over and over and over again. And I'll make it to the Hall of Fame because I just did the simple process over and over and again. You make the process a ritual. Whatever excuses we have, there's people say, well, my wife calls me, at 10 o'clock every day, she calls me and interrupts me. Well, have you ever had a discussion with your wife about how important this ritual is for not only yourself, but her and your family? See, all my kids, even my friends, would know not to call me before 11. Oh no, Greg's, they would just say, oh no, Greg's making calls. They wouldn't even call because they know that is my sacred time. That's not telling them, oh, don't call me during the day. No, it's when they understand how valuable that time is worth and what it means to even them, they don't even want to call you. They'll call you at 11:01. Hey, you still making calls? No, I'm done. Okay, great. Oh, I wanted to ask you something, which is something that could have waited anyways. Those are the things that's eating away at your ability to build your business because you can't make that many contacts. I believe you should be making a minimum. A minimum. Now, this is, if you caught me 10 years ago, the number was 60. 60 contacts a day. But like for some reason, it's like, I feel like that grandparent that tells those stories, on the rocking chair saying, grandson, I walked to school 2 miles in the snow uphill both ways. Like, I feel like my stories are becoming like that, right? Where, when I was first starting, I made 60 contacts at a minimal or I didn't leave. Those multiple days, it'd be 80 to 100 contacts per day. But, I understand that you all hear that and like, I wonder if that's even possible. I can't even make like 5 in a day. Well, yes, it's possible. But I also understand that you all are not watching me do it. So it's harder to convince you to trust me when I'm actually sharing with you stories versus if you witnessed it firsthand. Like anybody that worked with me, in the early years, they witnessed it firsthand. So there was no question. So over the years, we've actually had to dummy down the system in order to make it more believable. Full transparency. It's the only reason why I tell people the numbers that I will tell them now. And you're not the only people I'm telling this. This is what I tell just about anyone around the country because they're not going to do 60 anymore. It's very rare that you'll have somebody that'll make that many calls in a day. But those that do are the 100 deal plus producers. And it's listing based 4.5 days, no nights, no weekends. You've got to be making minimum 20 contacts a day. You can't generate momentum without 20 contacts a day. There's not enough good things to happen to take away the discouragement of all the no's that you get. There's not enough numbers to really get to the yeses if it's less than 20. You need to get to 20 so every single day you can have a positive conversation. Maybe you don't every single day get a yes, I want to sell, but you'll get every single day if you made 20, you'll get somebody that you feel you need to follow up with, which will give you the motivation, the confidence to show up again the next day. But if you're only doing 5, then you don't have enough little victories to keep you going. Like you could go 3 days and get 5 no's, 5 no's, 5 no's. Why are you calling? Why are you calling? Why are you calling? And then by the 4th day, which is now you're getting through 16 through 20th contact, when you're about ready to get something positive, your mindset's already out like, never mind. There's no reason. No one's really saying yes. Nobody wants to do anything. So when you're doing it in such small quantities, then you don't really you're not putting yourself in position to get the small victories on a daily basis. And those small victories on a daily basis keep you going. They make you feel like you're progressing, that you're getting somewhere, which motivates you. You've got to make the contacts. And then last but not least, so we got contacts, right? Well, you're going to get a lot of no's. But no just means no, I'm not selling now. I mean, for the most part, every single piece of real estate will be sold. Somebody will list every single piece of real estate at some point in the future. So the no's that we get today are no, I'm not selling at this time. But 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 1 year from now, things can change. Majority of the properties that are sold today, the owners told somebody 4 years ago that they weren't selling. The majority of the properties that close in every MLS around the country today are the same exact properties that somebody else told they weren't selling. just a few years ago. When you're prospecting, you're looking for yeses now, but you're also looking for ways to monetize all the no's that you get. See, every no that you get is no, not now. Stop hearing the no's as no, I don't want to sell. Hear it as no, not now. And then we put it into our systems. Put it into KV Core, put it into HomeBot. If you've met the standards for the free HomeBot account, you put those things in those systems. I got one of my, I've set a goal today. I don't know if you saw it on the Real Estate Sales Solutions Facebook page. I said I was going to talk to 2 recruits. I was going to set 2 listing appointments. I was going to get 1 price reduction. And I think there's one other thing on there that I said I was going to do. Oh, and I'm going to make 2 offers on to purchase property today. And I will get all that done today. I'm very confident. The hardest thing would have been the 2 listing appointments because that requires more outbound prospecting. Well, thank goodness that I got an email for somebody that says they want to sell, and it's somebody I have no clue who they are, but I have them in my HomeBot database. I call them up. He goes, yeah, you sent me an email. I looked in HomeBot and realized that 2 days ago, HomeBot automatically sent him an email with a home digest. And he happened to call me. I don't even know how he got in my HomeBot, but he's probably been in another database. And when we uploaded that database in there, he started getting that. That's a come listen me call. That made my life a lot easier today. But that's somebody that I don't know. At some point, I got him into my database. Then it transferred him to HomeBot. He got an email, and I randomly get this, hey, can you come out and talk to me about listing my property? That guy was likely to be a no sometime in the past. That's how he got into my database. It was a no at some point. He was a no so long ago, I forgot who it is. Doesn't ring a bell at all. Monetizing the no. But in order to win at the game, you've got to play the game. And you got to play it every day. Remember, you don't have to do any of this unless you want to build a listing-based business. If you feel like building a listing-based business is something that you really want to have, then these are the things that you have to do. All of my 100 deal plus producers do everything what I'm saying that I've said. Matter of fact, I should have said this, or I can say this now. When I was thinking about the outline for this building a listing-based business course, when I was thinking about this, I took my 100 deal producers, say 4 or 5 of them. I took them and I just looked at, okay, what did I tell them to do in the beginning? What I'm telling you now is the exact coaching I gave them. There were no magic pills. There were no shiny objects. It was really get down to business 5 days a week, follow the ritual, learn what to say, talk to a lot of people, put them in your database, and you'll be a hero. And that's exactly what I'm telling you now. Now, next week, I've got some additional conversations that we're going to have. We're going to talk about follow-up. Follow-up, by the way, or lack of follow-up, by the way, is the biggest cause of losses of revenue than any other aspect of our real estate business. Lack of or poor lead follow-up costs an agent more money than anything else. People go and prospect, they generate leads, and they don't follow up. Sometimes they say, well, I don't want to follow up. I don't want to call them too often. Well, how many times have you lost the deal because you called them too often? How many times have you lost an opportunity because you called them either too often or you called them too soon, called them too fast? Like never. But how many times have you lost the deal because you didn't call them enough or you didn't call them soon enough? You didn't call them enough in frequency, and you didn't call them soon enough. Everybody in real estate has had that call where they called somebody and followed up, and they said to them, no, I already listed, or they said to them, no, I already purchased. Thank you anyways. See, we have that happen too often. And that causes a lot of loss in revenue because we spend time prospecting, generating leads, but then we fail at the follow-up. So in order to build a listing-based business, you've got to be phenomenal at all these. You got to know the conversation. And when you know the conversation, you got to go out there and start talking to people. And when you go out to start talking about people, you got to understand that you're probably not going to close everybody down on the first conversation. It's going to require follow-up. Learn the conversation, start using what you learn by talking to people, and then we'll talk next week a little bit more. I'll dive deeper in the area of follow-up, and then we'll wrap up this course with a few other dialogues, and then hopefully you'll be equipped to go out there and make some decisions on how you want to build your business. So if there's any questions or thoughts, comments, please reach out to me by text, email, call me. I'm here to help you. I want you to be in a position to build your business just like you want to build it. If it's listing focused, great. If it's buyer focused, great. If it's a blend, then fantastic. I don't want to design your business. I want to help design the process, the business plan to help you reach your goals however you want to reach them. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.